Hello, everybody. My name is Ida Pöttinger. I'm a member from GMK, the Professional Association for Media Education, Media Literacy and Communication Culture from Germany, and IAME, the International Association for Media Education. I would like to introduce our speaker, Alexandre, Alex Le Voci Sayat. He told me everybody can talk to him with the name Alex because it's rather difficult to pronounce his name. Mr. Sayat is now an internationally well-known person since he is the vice chair of the Mill Agency. A warm welcome to you, Alexander, or Alex. Bon dia. Mr. Sayat is, as I said, the international co-chairman of the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance and a board member of the International Council for Media Literacy. He writes monthly articles for the newspaper A Gazeta do Povo and a magazine which is called Revista Educação. In transmedia projects, he hosts the show Idade Media on Canal Futura and Media Mundo on YouTube. In the academic field, he is a researcher in artificial intelligence and ethics at PUC, the Catholic University of Sao Paulo. He participated in more than 50 books, among them Idade Media, a comunicação reinventada na escola, ou pós-verdade e fake news, e educomunicação, redes sociais e interatividade, and plus media and information literacy and intercultural dialogue. Mr. Sayat also founded a company which is called ZeitGeist. ZeitGeist stands for Education, Culture, and Media. The members believe that education must always be connected with the spirit of the time. This is the meaning of the German word Zeitgeist. Let's begin now. Anja Pielsticker, my colleague and board member of IAME, the International Association for Media Education, will be the moderator of the workshop. Please take the floor, Anja.
Ida, thank you for your introduction. I'm gonna change this while I'm speaking. We are very happy, Alexandre, to have you here. And the next 1 hour, you're gonna tell us about what is the Mill Agency, and you're gonna tell us about for creative and unorthodox media education methods. So welcome to you. This is the third day of our Forum Kommunikationskultur. It's a conference, and we started this last weekend in Potsdam, and we continue this with the online workshops today. And you are here from Brazil, and normally everybody would like applaud. So yeah. We are doing this for you, and I give the word to you. And yeah, enjoy, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ida Pottinger, Anja Pielsticker, for this really kind invitation. I'm really happy to be here. Honestly, I'm telling from the bottom of my heart, because I love German. I love the German people, the German researchers, educators. So, and to be in GMK, it's an honor, really an honor. So thanks again for this invitation. Actually, your Portuguese, Ida, is just perfect. You could start it up with the Portuguese, and I will share my screen. I'm making a lot of speeches around the world, so I decided, as Ida teased me in a very specific point for this one, to tell about unorthodox methods of media education, which I've done a similar speech in January in another conference, and actually tackling creativity when we talk about media education, and in another hand, also bringing the traditional curriculum as a symbol of a crisis that we are living in. So I think it's time for us to break some barriers in the way we lecture, we teach media education. This will be the main topic of my speech. But before that, I will talk a little bit more about the different epistemologies around media education. So I will share my screen, and we can start. Let me check it. Can you see it? Yeah. So actually, I created. Yeah, thanks. Actually, I created two different titles for my presentation. I was in doubt which one I would start. So one, the most formal one is this one. The medium is still the message. So let's innovate in media education training. And I'm talking here basic for teacher training, and also educators for basic education. But there is another title that I decided to present as well, and there is another more here that's a little bit more funny, but it brings the message as well, which is curricula are solution for media education, but curricula are crisis as well for media education, and I will explain this later a little bit. But it's important to know that I'm wearing two hats, as Ida said here in this presentation. So I'm the co-chairman of UNESCO Male Alliance, as you see the logo there. And I'm also a director of ZeitGeist, which is the organization I run in Brazil. So it's a German word. Generally, I explain this for the audience. So here I'm sure I will not explain what Zeitgeist mean, but I love the German words because it brings concept. And Zeitgeist is a perfect concept for me, being the spirit of the time. I take it for myself as contemporaneity, as a synonym of contemporaneity. And what we do in Zeitgeist, it's really connected what the word means. I will explain a little bit later for you. So I will criticize the curriculum here a little bit in a traditional way, but at the same time, I will make some compliments for the curriculum. It's not a very solved equation. We need to solve it together. We need curriculum nowadays, but at the same time, we need more light, soft, and flexible curriculums than traditional one, as we talk to media. I'll explain why. So I brought this, I don't know if it's right either, but yeah, I try to explain my gratitude to be here with these words for you. I will not say that, but I let it here for you. And as Ida said, I came from journalism to education. This was my career a little bit. And I'm still a journalist somehow, but I'm a journalist that I consider myself an educator, journalist, and a journalist educator. So I think this is where those two fields merge sometimes. Ida hasn't mentioned, but I also host a radio show too nowadays. So after this speech, I'm going to the radio. So what I try to build in my career is that education is everywhere. So I try to merge different curricula. And it means also the informal curricula of education. I mean, the media itself can educate. So I love the way to take to the media the role of educations, and to bring to the media the role of the curriculum. So to mix it up, those two areas. Well, my first hat is the UNESCO MEL Alliance. So MEL is an acronym of Media and Information Literacy. And it was developed by UNESCO 20 years ago, 22 years ago. UNESCO is the United Nations Agency for Culture, Education, and Science. And within the Department of Information and Communication and Information Department of UNESCO, CI, we call it CI. Of course, you know that UNESCO brings studies even from the 70s of the impact of mass media, of the impact of commercial media. We have the International Forum of Discussion of Media and Society. One very important happened in Tunisia, 1996, if you remember. So when the 2000 started, they decided to merge media education or media literacy with was one specific field within one department with information science that came from the library science fields. And they create this artificial, it's an artificial name of MEL that merges, it's an artificial epistemology, I can say, that merges two different fields. We know that we have different epistemologies for the same thing around the world. Media education, for example, it's a very well-known field in Europe. Media literacy in US. And I don't know if you know about this, but in Brazil, we have educommunication. And in Spain, in Portugal, too. You can say educomunicación in the Spanish countries, and educomunicação in the Portuguese countries, which they define, for example, as a new field of intervention, of social intervention with education. Most connected to open the ecosystem for the voices from those who are not heard, like kids in school, youth in the school, segregated groups, LGBTQI plus groups. And so it's a different epistemology of MIL. I don't use, as a practitioner and an academic, I try to be not so connected to epistemology when I'm in the field. So I like to use media education as a general concept on my work. I'm just trying to organize these concepts for those who are watching this, that the field of communication education starts to merge, and you have different kinds of approach and different kinds of epistemology. There are not only different concepts, they came from different sides. And it's important to consider all the sides. What UNESCO does actually, it's to organize MIL through the skills of media and information literacy is all about. The skills of that, the skills are actually different literacies, news literacies, digital fluency, digital ethics, and it's a different ecology of skills. I like this approach of skills because it can define you between different other epistemologies in a very objective way. For instance, to create curriculums, for example. It's easier to create curriculum when you have skills and not a closed epistemology. This is the way UNESCO works. And UNESCO MEL Alliance was born 10 years ago in Nigeria as a multi-stakeholder alliance to develop the media education around the world, actually to raise the awareness and to advocate with government. So in 10 years, we've made 10 conferences around the world with the team, started in Nigeria. And this year, I was there. I've been elected to be the international co-chairman. And this year, we celebrate the 10th anniversary in Nigeria again. But we've been to all the continents, promoting MIL with the government, and organize one very important thing, which are local events to celebrate the Global MEL Week. yeah, with other alliances too. As a multi-stakeholder alliance, we connect other alliances to practitioners, academics, students, researchers. It's not academic network. It's an alliance. We call alliance of networks. We have even Twitter within our network. We're not going to. We don't know what's going to happen now with Twitter, but it's within our alliance. We have universities like University of Cairo in Egypt, University of São Paulo in Brazil, and follow on University of Philadelphia in US. But we started with the Global Mail Week in the last week of October to promote as a global celebration. We start with 6 weeks, one main event, featured event, and 5 other local weeks that we plot in a map in Nigeria. Now we have, this year we finished, sorry, we finished with 970 weeks around the world that were registered. So I think that the subject itself, because of GMK, because of UNESCO Meal Alliance, because of International Council of Media Literacy, because of all our effort of NGOs, universities, it raised the awareness of this. And we are glad that we helped somehow with that. But everybody's working here in the field for a long time. And I connected myself as I was a student living in London and enchanted by BBC and thinking, what can we do with that? As soon as I get back to Brazil, and I started with MIL in the year 2000. So I know everybody helped this movement in one way, and we need to thank everyone. And one thing that we do too is to deliver an award. Every year we deliver an award for practitioners or teachers or personalities that are really outstanding in their fields. Yeah. One thing that I think, I'll be honest with you, one thing that I think is very smart of the MIL concept is that they bring the libraries too. They don't concentrate this responsibility only within the school or the university, but they brings other actors of the society. And I'm going to tell, this is one part of the curriculum crisis nowadays. So the libraries are with us. So MIL is an umbrella concept. I just listed some aspects of the ecology of MIL. So media literacy, media education, representation in media, international private policies, information science, library science, public policy. We deal with a lot. So it's very difficult to address MIL as an umbrella concept because it's too heavy. There are too many things. I like sometimes to address, for example, the battle against disinformation is one aspect, or the battle against fake news is one aspect. We can talk about internet access too, is one aspect of MIL, mainly in Latin America. So it's a very heavy concept. We need to understand that we bring press freedom. Last year we deal a lot of the relation between in UN press freedom and media education. And during the Global Press Freedom Week, which is the first week of May, we connected the two issues in New York, in a conference in New York. What's the relation about press freedom and media education? There is a relation. And we try to develop this aspect a little bit. So my second hat is ZeitGeist. What do I do in ZeitGeist? Probably the main aspect of this speech, of this lecture. We do research, project development, teachers training, and also advocacy for more than 20 years on those fields. Of course, it's not only a word. When ZeitGeist came from Johann Herder in 1769, that brings the concept of with the story of art. The art itself brings the spirit of time within. The parallel I've done with education is that education needs to bring the spirit of time itself within the curriculums and within the formal and informal education. And in Latin America, where I started, education is kind of a church, an aspect of traditional aspect. And the world was running like mad in zeitgeist in contemporary. How to match, how to fit these two realities. For zeitgeist, the classic art, of course, the mirror and the sculptures needs to bring the aspect of the man itself, because it was the center of the science by that time, or not the science itself, but the studies. Yeah. So ZeitGeist nowadays is a free and remote lab open to debates, research, and project development. This is one of the places we develop projects together. You can see elderly people, youth, working together, developing a project together. I'll go deeper on that to talk what ZeitGeist does in Brazil. But I do a lot of things in lifelong learning, as Ida mentioned in the beginning of. One is the TV show is that Idade Media and the Futura. It's an open channel in Brazil. I'll tell why I'm on the open TV in digital times, what I'm doing in open TV in digital times. I will explain that in a few minutes. This magazine, I have a monthly article, and the radio, I have the radio show, which focus on news literacy. It's a weekly show. We explain the news of the week with experts for a general public in FM. This is so it's one aspect of news literacy. But on the TV show, it's another aspect. It's how media and technology are being used in different communities around the world. So different aspects of MIL. Our methodology, it's connected to spirit of time. It's a blend of methodology. But basically, we develop project-based learning. With aspects of design thinking and other stuff. What I try to address today in this speech to bring the unorthodox methods for media literacy. Sorry, English, Portuguese, and German mixed it up my mind a little bit. I will try to underline those 5 items. We need to understand the times we are living in to understand the emergency of MIL as an ethical response. Most of you already know that, but we will underline this again. I'll bring the curriculum as a crisis of the curriculum as we know it, as a crisis of or a symbol of the crisis that we are living in. We have the challenges of technology as a language and the future of MIL. So this will bring the answer or some answers of the initial question of this lecture. So I like always to open this speech with this image, which is a castle in Scotland that's being graffitied by some Brazilian artists from São Paulo, actually. And they were invited by the municipality to graffiti this palace or this castle. Every time, if I was in Potsdam near Berlin right now, the campus, I would show this and ask for the audience, what do you think about this image? Every time I ask this, sorry, I have some fireworks here because of the World Cup. The game is going to happen in some hours. So, there's never one simple answer about this question. People say, oh, it's ugly, or I can't understand, oh, the graffiti destroyed the art of the castle, but the consequence, it's a hard image to decodify. And for me, this image symbolizes the school nowadays and the deal with the contemporaneity codes, because this school itself, the curriculum, as we know, brings knowledge from the past. The school has a very traditional vocation where I think it's legitimate. It's legitimate to have this. At the same time, the curriculum of the school needs to deal with the contemporaneity, the culture, the pop culture of the students, the graffiti, the velocity, all the aspects that compose the contemporaneity, different aspects. So the curriculum itself and the school itself, it's a hard image to understand nowadays. And this is what we need to do when we talk about media education, mainly. Of course, we overcame this very traditional aspect of communication. But since then, communication was an issue for all of us. Frankfurt's not so far from Berlin, and we have those fantastic guys from the School of Frankfurt that tried to answer this equation of how media was impacted in society. And Frank Zappa, this American artist, he connected the toilet flush to his television, and this is for a cover of one of his records. This is a symbol of the narrative of the television during the 80s. We need to remember this, do not forget this. The television was really bad-sided by the curriculum itself. It was rubbish. It was trash. Pop culture was trash for a long time. We actually had even the reality shows that are still working as a part of it, as the trash part of the TV, like the Truman Show. But since then, and actually since the radio, I brought two European heroes here for you, one Polish and the other French. I could bring Germans too, but I bring one Polish and one German that I admired since by that time, that were dealing with this equation. It's trying to deal with this, but in this model of communication, which is Janusz Korczak, the first one, the Polish guy who used the radio to give expression for the kids, the orphan kids of the World War, and Célestin Freinet, the French guy, Paul, who developed the first network of newspapers within French schools, and Clémy is nowadays active in the Ministry of Education in France, thanks to Célestin Freinet as well, who developed to open expression for the kids. But communication nowadays is not only a network. I don't like very much this approach of prosumers. It's not only the deal of prosumer. What we are dealing nowadays with a network of communication is that we are dealing with the communication between, not mediating by screens, but between a human being and a machine algorithm. And the world is mediating by an algorithm. And this network is not a network of people communicating through some media, but people connecting straight to media, like algorithms, and the media mediating themselves with artificial intelligence, the world. So it's a very complex ecology for that. We need to overcome this view a little bit and try to understand Bruno Latour, who passed away some months ago, who bring aspects of the new materialism, which brings us theories for media education that we are connecting to AI algorithms, and objects have agency too. People have agency and objects have agency, and we are connecting the network of people and objects nowadays. So I joke, this is a joke, with German words too. We change from Gutenberg to Zuckerberg. And if we look for the meaning of the words, the sugar, it's a thing that melts when it rains. So we need to pay attention for the Zuckerberg, because this mountain can melt too. This mount can melt too. This paradox brings us to other challenges for media education as well. The excess of information is one aspect, but it's not the only one. There are a lot of things that makes us living in a misinformation era. This research brings every year some data from the internet. It's very interesting. Every year, this is, I need to update it. We have from 2021 already, but this is old. But the amount of information is one thing, but we have other aspects of misinformation that brings with this image, yeah? So I like to bring Edgar Morin too from France to explain the complexity that we're facing, because he was a teacher during the Second World War in France. And can you imagine how to maintain a school? This is hard during the hard times. And he say that we cannot, complexity is a theory that comes from maths, that we cannot take things isolated from others. We are all connected. More than ever, we are all connected to everything. Sociology, to maths, to science, to media literacy. How can we deal with media education without isolating media education in one part of the curriculum? Or only lecturing, like I'm doing now, to teach media education, instead of doing things. So curriculum is part of a guarantee that media education is available for everyone. But at the same time, traditional curriculum is not connected to the spirit of our time with complexity, with a complexity view like Morin. So misinformation is within this complex world too. How can we battle this information with a simple curriculum? It's not easy to do. I brought some numbers from Brazil. Look, if you want to work within Brazil, look how complex it is. Open TV channels reach 80% of the whole country. But we have only 40% of the public schools. According to UN, Brazil it's the 6th position of internet broadband coverage. Only 40% of the Brazilian schools are connected to the internet. Which brings us to the last item. It's 72 of the Brazilians were informed about COVID-19 through the television, not through the internet. Look how complex it is to deal with the situation. Radio, FM radio. In the age of podcasts, FM radio is still fundamental in Brazil, because in the middle of the Amazon and the middle of the desert that you have here, some desert areas, people get information through FM radio. Okay. At the same time, Netflix has its 3rd biggest market in the world in Brazil, with 16 million of subscribers. So internet access is weak in rural areas, small cities, and north region of Brazil. So when I address through ZeitGeist media education, I cannot address only within the traditional curriculum. I need to have a more bold strategy. I need to understand that what McLuhan was talking at the same time as Adorno, of Theodor Adorno was telling in Germany. They were talking, the media is still the message. If you are educating through lecture, only lecture, how can you jump? How can you, when we can leap some aspect of creativity, of complexity, and of inequality that media education brings within itself? Plus, we are living in a time with no clear limits between digital and physical. So sometimes it's hard to teach about media literacy some places within a simple lecture, where kids are within a kind of metaverse already when they are playing video games, mainly. And I underline two of them. Oh my goodness, I remember 2 of my kids' plays here. That one Minecraft, the first one, is this one that I have here. It's not considered a metaverse itself, but Fortnite, which is the second one, is the beginning of metaverse, because it has social media within, commerce, art with NFTs, gigs and entertainment within, with avatars of the real artists within. So how can we deal with media education in this time? So what I always bring, it's an onion that's hard to peel. And with 1 hour, I'm just taking the last peel of this onion for you, just to provoke to just to tease our minds to think about it. Quick view on misinformation in Brazil. I'm not going too deep on that, but it's another way to face media education, which is not enough is to face with law. Legislation is important, but legislations to face misinformation is not enough. Again, we need to face with complexity. If I take some countries like Finland that are doing well with misinformation, they have media education within the curriculum. They have media education without the curriculum. They have legislation. They have TV and a kind of ethical agreement within the media itself to do not promote fake news. So only legislation is not enough too. This is what I bring with this. So we need to understand that a curriculum as a specialized field of educational work originated at the beginning of the 20th century, within a very industrial aspect of the knowledge, where we separate the issues to do and to learn. As Edgar Morin said, as I bring you in the introduction of the complex thinking, we need to reconnect wisdoms. We need to reconnect aspects of knowledge and not isolate them. And this is one thing that we used to work in ZeitGeist here in Brazil, is that media education could be everywhere and it could be within any subject: chemistry, maths, history, geography, and we don't advocate for a specific discipline or a specific issue within the curriculum. We need it to be everywhere in an aspect that face complexity and cite complexity as I address. But you said, but Alex, you are talking, the curriculum is not enough. At the same time, you develop curriculums. Yes, I've been through the development of the curriculum of the UNESCO. The original, no, I was not involved. The originally was released in 2011. Is this small one you can see on the screen. And it's really old-fashioned. It doesn't work for anything more. It's available online for free if you want to read as curiosity. But this one, new one, we start to meet in Serbia, 2019, before the pandemic times. And we met, and we finished the newest edition, which is available within the UNESCO website last year with 550 pages. What can I do with a curriculum of 550 pages to address MIL within my school, within my university, within my community? This is the key that ZeitGeist understand, that we don't need to follow strictly this guideline, but we need to take this as a sign and make adaptations and make it as a goal, but does not copy this curriculum and paste this or anyone. There's another fabulous curriculum that I didn't bring it here, but I've been involved to. It's the AlphaMed network, which is based in Spain, University of Huelva. And it's Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Latin America, the AlphaMed network. They create a very nice, brand new, it's available for free on AlphaMed website, brand new curriculum too, but also as a guideline, only as a guideline. We need to address this subject in our daily basic aspects of our lives. And how? In UNESCO, I started with this, to think how a city can educate. This is the UNESCO, this is a platform that you find in UNESCO website, it's the Mil Cities, where we connect within the city itself, the informal, non-formal, and formal education, targeting misinformation and based on media education. So we take that concept of education cities from Barcelona 1992 and try to answer the question, what is a Mil city? What can be a city that educates for media? And we start to develop a framework. We have a framework that is not here with me, but we develop a framework for the municipalities, for those who want to drive the local laws to MIL, but not only educational laws, cultural and health laws, for instance, or leisure, entertainment legislation through MIL. This last topic, Cidade Escola Aprendiz, Neighborhood as School, is an organization that I worked as a director 20 years ago. And now it's as a Harvard case that we merge the digital and the physical education, media education, within one organization. So it was community education, community-based education, but using digital before social media, because I'm talking about 2004, 2005, before Orkut or Facebook. But how digital and physical can merge in battle misinformation. So Mill City is one aspect. I can send you either this presentation. Okay, I'll send you. You can even make it available for everyone. This I'll send you. Don't worry. And we have some theoretical aspects of this. I will not go through this, but some layers of development. The last two layers is interesting. How to create a city curriculum or curriculum of the city. And the last one, creating innovative certification and recognition for the city curriculum. This is one thing that interests me and we are developing a lot in Brazil. So to address this, I'll talk a little bit more about this in some minutes. To address this, we need a challenge with technology. It's still technology is always a challenge, but I will bring some aspects that we need to do up to the AI ethical impacts, which I think is the newest thing that we can do here. But the first of all, we need to overcome the instrumental view of technology. Mainly in education, I've been noting that all around the world, but since a Latin American problem, to look technology as tool. And technology is not tool. Technology, it's language, and it's able to produce culture. It's Pierre Levy, again, a French guy. It's Pierre Levy that brings us to technology as language. To address MIL in an unorthodox way, media education unorthodox way, we need to understand the technology as language, where people organize the thoughts and produce culture since organize and produce culture with that. So just to remember, we have radio for more than 100 years. But at the same time, look how paradox it is. At the same time, radio is still important for a lot of countries, a media ecology. Yeah. And digital technology is not new, since we need to consider that digital was used a lot during the NASA conquers. The Apollo 11, for example, used the technology of a calculator, but still a technology. And AI, it's stronger now because we have more data available to use AI systems. But the first paper written on AI is dated, the first papers are between 1947 and 1951, when Alan Turing was trying to concept, it was just, of course, was just theoretical, but he's trying to concept how a machine can learn. So the first paper of AI, how machines learn, by Alan Turing. So AI itself is not a new concept. It's a new as a practical, it's a new as a reality, but not as a concept. So this is one thing that we need to overcome. Technology, digital technology is not new. Technology is not a tool. Bringing Pierre Levy, orality, writing, and digital are part of the story that how can we look the world itself? Yeah, la tecnologia da inteligência, isn't it? The technology of the intelligence itself. This is really far. This concept's from 1992, but I can say it's really far from most of the teachers training that I've been to. They're still looking for a computer as a simple tool that can help you to something, but it's more than that. It's organizing your information knowledge, and it's providing you a new way of look to the world, the internet itself. And this brings me to Yu Hui. That's this Chinese philosopher and engineer that brings that technology needs to, I like to give this glimpse of philosophy, that technology needs to look through the eyes of diversity, and we need to create a techno-diversity. Technology to China is a different concept than technology to the Western world. And what I mean in this, if you go to Africa, technology is a different thing that it's understood as a different thing that we understand here in America. So how can we address technology in a very local view? This is things that we need to consider. At the same time, I brought this art from a Brazilian artist, an artist from São Paulo during the 80s. He created this video creatures. It's a Frankfurt view of television, because we are drawn in soap operas and television, and he created these characters. And they walk through the theaters, interacting with people, saying, look, you are almost what TV tells you what you are. And the art try to represent this. But nowadays, we have art like Adam Harvey does. And Adam Harvey, despite of the fact he's American, he's living in Berlin right now. Probably you can meet her in person. He created this makeup, which is avoid footage from government cameras, of security cameras. This makeup is a technology art that you will not be cataloged by Hong Kong cameras with this makeup if you're a protester. So he's using AI and AI consequences and ethics to create his art. So if we had an art based on TV, we now have an art based on AI and its ethics consequence. This is the urgency of MIL looking through AI. He created the anti-drone scarf too. This scarf makes you unrecognizable for drones if you are in a battlefield or in a war. And this is most amazing thing. He protests against the big techs, because these are the pools of Jeff Bezos, Larry Page, all the big tech owners. But they blur their pools within the Google Maps. What Adam Harvey does, he pick up metadata, which is available, free data available, and recreate the pools and put the pools of the magnets again in Google Maps, saying, look, you bought your pools with our money, with the money of the information we're giving us to the, now we need to see what pools do you have. So he used metadata to recreate the pools. So the data pools is that, it's very interesting too. So about AI, I'm not probably going too far on that, but AI brings another layer of consequences of ethics and to aspects of media education. The same thing that's very misunderstood on that, the AI is not the same field as robotics, and some people still mix it up. Machine learning, deep learning, neural networks are different models of AI. We need to understand the awareness brings, we need to understand it. As soon as supervised learning, non-supervised learning, reinforcement learning. AI nowadays is everywhere, from some chatbots up to loan simulations and self-driving cars. But AI is not only self-driving cars. AI is within the social media, is within Facebook. And AI, there's nothing to do with Blade Runner and sci-fi or Kraftwerk in German. Kraftwerk, that techno group, is very interesting. They used to work with robots during the 60s. But AI nowadays, there's nothing to do with Kraftwerk or Blade Runner. We are far away from singularity, but we are really present with algorithms. And algorithms are made by human data scientists. They have bias too, as human have. So social representation, privacy, and surveillance are sensible issues on AI. This is, for me, one thing that media education is still far from and need to be closer to. I used to divide digital media and algorithm media, because algorithm media is another thing. Machine learning is another thing. It's different from traditional. We can say we have a traditional media, digital media, but we have an algorithm digital media too. So the schedule on AI and cyber culture, we are bringing to ZeitGeist programs like social representation on media, AI bias and ethical by design, technology addition, show behavior, opinion bubbles, economic concentration on digital media, data capitalism, big data, how you pay your privacy. There's no free lunch. And critical thinking in MIL, it was my master's research. I'm going to release a book on that. But how can we address MIL within this complexity? So ZeitGeist, so this is the main part of my speech, and the final one, that we are trying to connect in ZeitGeist what we call the invisible school, which we are dealing with the hard and tough and heavy curriculum of the basic education in Brazil, but connecting with the informal education and non-formal education, and trying to build up an image of an invisible school where you can deal with misinformation, you can learn, develop media education during your entire life as a lifelong learning process, and during your daily basis work, not only when you are at school. This is part of the crisis of the curriculum. So some aspects of the initial teachers training in Brazil, I took it from a report. Teachers are training here, just focus on research, no practicing. Lecture basing, which the crisis nowadays is based on rationalism, is based on curriculum. Low use of digital technology, instrumental approach of using digital technology in education, no space for innovation within the curriculum. Matters of time spent in a second graduation of pedagogy. This is one very specific thing, but they don't, in Brazil, teachers, they don't leave the university able to lecture. They need to do another course to lecture. 1 year, 2-year course. So it's hard, because the university itself is really focused only on research and not lecture itself. Few space for debate the contemporary issues, and no creativity. So we try to do in Brazil is to expand the learning community concept, not idealizing the e-learning, not idealizing and no converting homeschooling, missing a need there, not facing lifelong learning as training, but understanding that a learning community may embrace the school, the family, the media itself, the city, and the community. And all those actors need to work in favor of media education. So in this perspective, the roles of education, how can schools and curriculum embrace the world outside and prepare students to face reality? We do teachers training with university advocacy and UNESCO curriculum implementation with our particularities. Non-formal education. MOOCs, we develop course and partnership for MOOCs. For instance, we have developed a MOOC for UNESCO based on podcasts. It's a podcast course. You listen to short 2.5 minutes podcasts on media education in English and in Spanish. And it's going to be distributed in pen drives. in place there is no internet access. Informal, lifelong learning, to production of media literacy content, both broadcast and peer-to-peer. So the same network that is the communication ecology, we need to work as a merge of curriculum, the city curriculum, the digital and the media curriculum, and the school curriculum within one perspective. I will jump this, but some inspiration, what I'm telling, you can see the Chicago Summer of Learning. I think it's very inspirational on this video. Just type Chicago Summer of Learning in YouTube. You're gonna watch this video, how they merge the school curriculum with the city curriculum in one thing. You can look for Neighborhood as School at Harvard University, 2010. You're gonna read this paper, the organization I run. The European Commission has good issues on that. The Estonia, I'm very connected to Estonia Ministry of Education. I like the way they work in public policies on that. South Korea, some good aspects, but mainly the Minerva University are doing a good work in connecting physical campi and digital campi, and working on PBL, project-based learning. So we are back to it takes a village to raise a child. Again, we need to look to the whole village. The curriculum is not enough by itself. So this network-based education is the task of the entire society. It's beyond the school itself, and each social actor has his role. So aspects that we underline: technology as means and not tools, learn by doing, PBL-based projects, media education as a key issue, hybrid as a part of reality, connection to students' culture, relevance of cultural studies, create a network of education, face complexity, impermanence, and speed, which are contemporary codes, art, city, and digital. We use it as a site of contemporarity, and coalition as solution. So ZeitGeist, basic, it's a network of partners that produce together some solutions in education. So the city, the art, and the digital together. We work at schools, media, governments, private sector, universities, and NGOs as a hub. So as products, we have, for example, this is a curriculum matters of media education, but we work like this. Producing, this is one, they are producing an app to tackle disinformation. This is high school kids. This is how we address media education, producing. This is a kind of Netflix of interviews that we make it available for everyone to understand the world of education, not only a school-centered world, but we interviewed people from the universe that cross education, culture, sports, politics, economy, technology. From different places, you have Peruvian girl here, South African girl, a Mexican boy, an American girl, writers, to understand how the words change, how the writer, the question here to the writer was fun. When you write for an ebook, do you change your language when you write for a physical book? This is one aspect of media education, and we make this interview with this writer, this José Santos writer. So this is a kind of Netflix of interviews to make the continuous training of teacher. We like to make what we call the peripatetic curses. Peripatetic curses based on in Aristotle's, that we make the curse walking through the city. So this is a course about digital art and media education. So those are the teachers. We make the course walking through the art. This should be in Berlin, but it's in São Paulo. But it could be in Berlin easily. We've done it in São Paulo. It's a graffiti net. So we made a kind of map with galleries, artists, art dealers, and we walk and talk about media, art, and modernism in Brazil that faces 100 years of modernism in this year in Brazil. So those are the teachers. ZeitGeist is a co-producer of the TV show. This is the TV show I present in Canal Futura, where we bring the TV show as a 20 minutes piece of education. And the channel make it available for everyone to use in teachers training. So we have now 35 episodes focus on each aspect of media education. And I just signed the contract for the 4th season. So we're gonna have, for next year, you're gonna have more 58 episodes next year in total. Really embracing, like this picture, embracing different aspects of media education. The radio show, as I said, is based on news literacy, so it's weekly. I'm just leaving my home here to go to the radio studio, and it's FM ABC. We call the news ABC because we receive. I do with this lady. It's a very nice, wonderful journalist called Maria Cristina Poli. She was a famous journalist when I was a kid. I was crazy about her. Now I'm lucky to work with her, co-hosting this show. I'm very lucky to work with her. And we receive guests to explain the news, for those who don't have access to a lot of different. It's hard to do because it's weekly. I record it every week, so it's hard to prepare the screen. But we have 40 episodes available in YouTube for those who want to understand news. It's co-produced. This is a web series that we've done during the pandemic on YouTube. That's 28 episodes of aspects on disinformation. We interview personalities from Brazil all around the world. I've done together with the same lady here. We've done this web series. So plus 28 episodes. This is a hackathon that I've done in Colombia. How the kids develop systems for the cities to be disinformation in libraries and museums. This is from a public school in Colombia, in a very, very hard area of the city. The area was dominated by Pablo Escobar during the 90s, that drug dealer. And now the Catholic Church went there, and they are taking care of the schools. And we've done this hackathon using some aspects of the UNESCO curriculum, but not using the curriculum itself, recreating it, making it as the media is still the message. So we use digital platform and physical platform to develop solutions. Here's the classroom that we use, and even Lego to develop this solution. There are teachers and students together. You can see the elder one are the teachers, and the students are back there. Hands-on teachers training. Those are some teachers training that we do in Brazil with hands-on always. So they need to create something that's going to be publicized. We're going to make it public. Could be a physical, a digital gadget, or educational instrument that will help us or help the public in somehow. The Open City Lab, we do hackathons for media education and the city in partnership with Harvard and MIT. I'm not doing that anymore. So some years ago, the Open City Lab, where they create app for the juniors in schools. They create app to map the city to experience, campaign to recycle toys in Facebook. There were a lot of different, sorry, it finished so fast. I thought it was a little bit things more. I have other examples, but this is how we work. I don't know. There are a lot of other things to say, but I don't want to be boring here. So I try to behave myself in 1 hour speech, and I hope this German it's right too here. But it's. Thank you very much, and follow me on social media if you want. But danke schön. if I'm right, and I hope you like it.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you very
stopped.
much.
Thank you.
Bravo,
very much,
bravo.
yes.